can already do a lot of analytics. So this is why we have additional layer of encryption. We utilize zero knowledge proofs for a certain project. We have other ways how to have maybe not just one address, but an HD address or wallet where you have a lot of different addresses. We utilize decentralized file storage. For example, IPFS, probably you know also other projects about that topic. So there's like several technologies we use to counter the privacy issues. So this is why we have addresses. We utilize decentralized file storage.
One of the most requested persons in the crypto space in blockchain. How much traveling have you done?
Okay, I wouldn't say that, but I think in Berlin, in Germany and Europe, I think I'm, as a researcher, architect in the Porsche Digital Lab, I've been to a lot of different topics. I'm trying to cover the space of blockchain and DLT in general as much as possible. So we talked and met a lot of startups. We've been to several conferences. We've been to many hackathons, from organizers to mentors to jury, and also of course participating, which is actually one of the biggest fun activities you can do. And of course looking in from a mix, corporate view, but also from of course passion and self-interest. And this is quite interesting because often you have only one view or the other. Some people talk about corporate blockchains. I'm not sure what is a corporate blockchain, because for us it's a blockchain which is sufficient for all our corporate needs. But that doesn't mean that those blockchains are not public and permissionless. I believe interconnectivity is one of the biggest advantage for blockchain for corporates. So you need to be connecting to as many partners as you can, and this makes it difficult if you're only working in a consortia and also within your branch, right? You want to connect in future supply chain with the whole product life cycle. You want to have payment processes and external services connected, even the car. And our first project was actually putting this blockchain in a car. And
how do you put blockchain inside the car? What are the advantages of this ledger that is public, that it's all encrypted, protected? How can cars take benefit of a blockchain?
Yeah, so this was one of the first projects, also to learn the technology. We put a blockchain inside of a car and had 3 areas. The first was locking and unlocking the car. Very simple trick to do. Right now you have your key, and sometimes you can even use your phone with an app. But this app is always connected to the internet. If you're in a garage without reception, there is no way to use your phone in most cases. It just uses the cloud. And with blockchain, of course, we can be offline. We can also transfer the access right from one device to another. We can limit this access. For example, we could say, hey, only during a certain time you can use those devices. If it would be legal from a perspective for driving, you could maybe even limit your kids to drive a little bit slower or something like this. But the second part was also auditing all the data, having a big log for data. And this, I think, is where blockchain is very easy to use, having data secured on a blockchain, just fingerprinting, of course. And third, it was about sharing the access with external, for example, package delivery, which could put a package in your car. But now we actually often work with blockchain outside of the car.
Amazing. I remember in the beginning of last year, there were so many discussions about GDPR and how will data be stored forever in the blockchain. I think you were called for a couple of events to talk about the topic. Do you still remind what was the outcomes of those discussions by the time?
Yes. So GDPR, the European Data Privacy Law, is a really important part for us, and it's privacy all over the world. It's not just about the law, and I think this is where blockchain can strive, but also where we have to figure out how to operate it. Like we have came to several conclusions. First, don't put personal data on a blockchain, and not at all. So right now we are having on the blockchain, on the smart contract, only fingerprints, hashes, which are actually not backtrackable. Of course, we have to have data which is not easy to guess or possible to guess at all. And second, even if you do a transaction, for example in a B2B application on blockchain, pure data analytics, if you know the address of a participant, you can already do a lot of analytics. So this is why we have additional layer of encryption. We utilize zero knowledge proofs for a certain project. We have other ways how to have maybe not just one address but an HD address or wallet where you have a lot of different addresses. We utilize decentralized file storage. For example, IPFS, probably you know also other projects about that topic. So there's like several technologies we use to counter the privacy issues. Probably you know privacy issues.
Mm-hmm.
Privacy issues.
Mm-hmm. Claudio, like a pro in the blockchain. Machine learning reality. Machine learning is. How is the progress so far? Are machines going to take humans? How is the progress? 2019. Where are we?
Intelligence, or actually the technical term machine. Actually, very specific technical term. Mostly deep learning, and where we try to build neural networks in an artificial way. They can help and support us, and I don't see too much of a risk coming from the machines yet. When I started, I think 2013, and I started with my blog AI Claudio, and I went for working in machine learning in Asia and Europe. I was also questioning this, where are we going? Is there singularity coming? And I don't see it as a threat right now. I think what we are doing right now, using artificial intelligence, it's very simple algorithms. It's more about like which data do we use. Privacy, for me, is a much bigger issue, even for machine learning. Are we allowing to go through all of our data?
How do you like facial recognition? Do you think machine learning is effective right now? Do you think should we be scared of facial recognition systems?
Well, I believe it's getting better and better. You see how well we can already use some facial recognition in combination with our passport at the airport. I see the use of it in mobile phones. For example, with Apple ID, they try to improve every step, having a 3D face, having various sensors, other solutions trying to also have your pulse, having maybe some information from your iris in the eye. I think it's becoming very effective. There are studies which show with some biometrics you can already have siblings or actually twins which are identical by nature, still separated with some machine learning algorithms. If you go with very well sensors, of course, yet. But still, so we are getting there that we will have a full identity just with our biometrics. There are scary use cases.
Yes, for example?
Well, I think data can be misused. You're sitting here in Berlin, yes, and you see actually the water on the other side.
Yes.
This is West Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting in East Berlin. And actually, if you film the wall over there,
yes,
next to the building, there's a little wall.
Yes, I can
and see. Between this wall and us and the water, this is a shooting zone. During the separation of East and West Germany,
yes,
you would have been killed. There were no buildings.
So that was in between the Western
yes,
world and the Eastern world.
Yes. There's a little wall.
Yes, I can
and see. Between this wall and us and the water, this is a shooting zone. So
really?
During the separation of East and West Germany,
yes,
you would have been killed.
So that was in between the Western
yes,
world and the Eastern world.
Yes, if you
yes,
see, There's a little wall.
Yes, I can
and
see.
between this wall. So
really?
During the separation of East and West Germany,
yes,
you would have been. It looks so nice within the water. I don't know how do you say the walk.
Yes, all
this was for soldiers with guns.
Really?
Yes. So, and if you go back to the history of Eastern Germany and other areas, data was misused. People had to spy on the neighbors. So I think we were really scared from our history and past, right? So often in German history, there were so scary events which were also going down to data misuse. So we believe, I guess, in data privacy, personal privacy.
Yeah.
So the question is how to utilize technology which is neutral in its core, right? There's no good or bad in technology, and use it for a good way. Actually, I believe decentralization might be a good approach for exactly this, because you don't want to have one power which is maybe good but maybe bad at a time.
Talking about those supreme powers and very strong governments, I see some nations more advanced in their support for pushing blockchain technology ahead. As a German native and then a German citizen, where do you see Germany compared to the rest of the European Union? Do you think they are forward? Do you think like blockchain is better off here in Germany than in countries like France, Spain, and
yes. So I believe the German government, they see the topic blockchain. I've been to the parliament several times where they discuss the blockchain. I've been to the Ministry for Mobility and Digital Infrastructure for certain blockchain events. So they see the topic, but they're not really fast. Right now we don't have too much of a push for innovation. I believe the good part about blockchain in Germany is coming from the people, and this is mainly developers. This is actually international developers. If you look at the hotspot of Berlin, there's a lot of devs from everywhere in the world. It's a nice place for developers to stay. It's not all shiny and nice, but it's a nice place for, I think, a lot of developers having their own pace, having their own freedom and space. And then with the background, of course, that we don't like too much of a centralization. We don't have any elite companies in Berlin, for example. I wouldn't know a single one. There's somewhere the Siemensstadt, but I think they still have to build up a lot and they want to invest and come back in a bigger way. You don't have super big corporates. Google was a little bit pushed out by demonstrants which wanted to keep their buildings and the rent for a low price. I believe Berlin will grow and also in cohabitate with people from Berlin and new tech companies. But I think right now it's really coming from developers and the developer community, and this is driving, and it's not the governments, and this is perfect for this decentralized software because it's actually coming also from the vision of decentralization.
Why do you think developers chose Berlin as the main hub? Like, why do they all come here? Why do you see this as the capital of
So, I'm not sure where is the capital of blockchain. Probably it's very diverse. You have a lot of good blockchain developers, for example, in Southeast Asia, on Bali, in Thailand, in Switzerland. There's a lot of blockchain headquarters as well, in Zug or Zurich. Actually, for legal reasons, it's a great place. Same goes for Malta or Gibraltar. I don't think there's too many developers. It's more headquarters. Probably Korea and Japan are amazing places for developers too, but probably even more amazing if you speak Korean or Japan. Still cool places I want to go. US is probably catching up a lot.
You don't know São Paulo, right?
I don't know Sao Paulo, and I believe actually I've seen really cool projects and coders coming from Brazil, working on great projects. I think even since 2 years I met many developers which are really great. I'm actually also closely working in other projects with startups from Brazil. Not only blockchain, but innovative technologies such as virtual reality.
So we're picking up. We're getting there. Yeah.
Yes, I believe there's the right mindset and the opportunity to start something, even with a few people, a great idea, coming together, learning this by yourself a little bit, because it was never an educational university topic. It's less than machine learning, where you had all the education since basically 20 years, and it advanced step by step, little by little, until it had this point of return of investment. And this is what companies now have with machine learning. This is why we can try to push as fast as possible, hire as many talents as apply, because we know we already can give projects which make sense, where we have an optimized production of new businesses. With blockchain, this is still a challenge. We have certain areas where we are working in, but right now there's no mass adoption yet, so there is not a return of investment. We can sometimes improve the quality or minimize the risk, but I think this will start as soon as the technology will also evolve to a user-friendly way.
Last but not least, if you had to finish with leaving people like some inspirational website, it can be a website, it can be something you saw curious on a YouTube or a podcast or a book that you read or a movie that you watched, where would you guide people now so they can get out of YouTube, and where should they start searching for something interesting on the topic?
So I am really often just in the digital world. So I believe looking at news articles, and I believe blockchain is not the future of blockchain, and that means there's a lot of different technologies. Looking at zero knowledge proof, which is tricky but really interesting. Looking at combination of blockchain and ledgers itself, different versions. There's a lot of different alternatives to blockchain within the distributed ledger technologies. Actually, I like blogs. You find on HackerNoon and Medium.com a lot, as well as YouTube, which often soften the explanation quite a lot.
Sure. So for zero knowledge proofs, you would say HackerNoon is a good start.
It's a good start, and combine it with YouTube, so people explain it to you in a nice way.
Amazing.
You find on HackerNoon and Medium.com a lot, as well as YouTube, which often soften the explanation quite a lot.
Sure. So for zero knowledge proofs, you would say HackerNoon is a good start.
It's a good start, and combine it with YouTube, so people explain it to you in a nice way. You find on Medium.com a lot, as well as YouTube, which often soften a lot.
Sure. So for zero knowledge, we are here at the Porsche Digital Labs. I'm here with Claudio and
Jagrut. Yes.
Jagrut?
Yeah, Jagrut.
Yes. How long are you working with Claudio together?
I've been working now 1.5 years, almost 1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Yes, we are building our blockchain team, and he was the first blockchain developer, right? Going all into public permissionless blockchains, and now we grow as a team, right?
Exactly. Now we have also Cody. He is a much more experienced developer than me in blockchain. And we also have Daisy, who is a really smart student.
Yes.
But it's fun working with them.
So they're all very advanced blockchain coders, and they're really going to the smart contracts deep down, looking how to involve zero knowledge proofs.
Exactly.
Zero knowledge proof at Porsche Digital Labs.
Yeah, of course.
Tell me more about that. What are you guys doing with zero knowledge and cars?
So right now we haven't really connected what it will be used for. So our main idea was to just look into zero knowledge, the ZK Starks, ZK Snarks, where we could use it. So far in our one of the projects, we actually used that, tested it, works, but it was much overhead that it was required. So what we did was we just went back to simple Merkle trees where it was all okay. But I think it has real promises where we could use it in future projects, and we are looking for new ecosystems who could support that.
And on a meta level, I think the knowledge proof is quite good for the privacy, which we really need in the project. So quite often we have, of course, blockchain, often a public permissionless blockchain like Ethereum or others. And then we also need to share data with other users. Sharing data in various ways, also having privacy on the transactions, so people don't fear about analytics, for example. How many transactions did you have with your corporate business partner, right? Will this reveal already your business numbers or from your suppliers? For that reason, the knowledge proof is an integrated technology. We have decentralized file storage. This weekend we just published our first open source library. Also he was included in the previous work to develop the whole idea.
I was not part of the hackathon.
We missed him a lot, right? So because he had worked so hard on blockchain, he had a few
Cody did a really good job. Like what we did was, it's all out there in the GitHub. You can go see what and how we try to tackle this balance between privacy and transparency. And I think it was a pretty good solution that we had. Feel free to use that.
So it's a library?
It's a library.
Where can people find this library? It's all open source.
Just look for Catbox. Catbox is the name of the library, and the library is for encrypting files and storing them on a decentralized file storage for blockchain applications. So basically, if you mostly work on Ethereum-based applications, you're already interacting with other users, then it's a perfect solution. It's like a Dropbox, but for blockchain. So just search for the word Catbox and only click on GitHub links. With other users, then it's a perfect solution. It's Catbox is the name. Like a Dropbox. So just search for on GitHub links. With other users, then it's a perfect solution. It's Catbox is the name. Like a Dropbox. So just search for
specifically at Room 77, which was one of the first places in Germany to have the Bitcoin community almost like a house, but also such an easygoing.
And I believe actually it's quite interesting if you look at that. It was a bar, right, accepting cryptocurrency, and the majority was actually artists I saw there, because I believe decentralization is actually very connected to Berlin. People, they still use cash everywhere. They don't like credit cards so much. They don't like too much connectivity to all
to the banks and
everything.
To the authoritarian.
They really care a little bit about their privacy and their own things in life. So I think it's a good place. We have a lot of cool startups here in Berlin, right? I think you saw a lot.
Now, Berlin has so much going on. Everybody that you meet is basically a CEO or a co-founder, but a lot of people are developing in the technology space, not just blockchain. But I remember one of the first things you were developing were smart contracts in Ethereum, specifically for motorsports. How is that project going? Is it still out there? What can you tell the audience about that?
So this is actually now in the next iteration, in the next phase. So we started up in a very simple idea, how can people engage in the race team they really like. And then we also worked with several race teams, and then we evolved to see the bigger picture. Is this also an idea where we can have various teams from various sports or other areas, maybe even artists? And then we also looked at, what is our core team? And actually today the Formula E team is revealed, and it's also a quite interesting topic for us, of course. So we are one step ahead, and maybe the video's out, maybe there will be already news or not.
So what is exactly you guys doing with the Formula E, those electronic cars, electric cars, not electronic cars, the electric
So the whole race is a kind of a new race. So coming from motorsports, of course this is the DNA for Porsche, to be in racing, to have this sporty part. But then we changed. Right now we're getting the first full electric car on the street.
Yes.
It will be revealed, I think, next week.
Okay.
Starting this year, which will be on the street. So if you're building good engines for cars on the street, you also want to build them for the racetrack, where you often have actually the first innovation. So starting with the really expensive development for race cars and then porting that to the street. And it's really about getting electric cars more efficient, faster, better, cooling batteries. I think this is still areas where everything is in development for all cars all over the world. And this is actually connected to different target group. It's more young people, it's gaming people, it's technology driven people, and I think there's a lot of combination to the target group also in blockchain.
Claudio, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you
all
today.
Over the world.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is actually connected to different target
Greetings
groups.
to Brazil
it's more
and all
young
over the
people,
world.
it's gaming people, it's technology driven people, and I think there's a lot of combination to the target group also in blockchain. Development for
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
All over the world.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is actually connected to different target groups.